Hello, we are live. Okay, let's see. Hola Ana, ¿qué tal? A ver, aquí estamos. Okay, yeah. Hello everyone, thank you for joining. Okay, so Dr. Thiago Muller should be in a second. Here we are.
Hello.
How you
are
doing?
you?
You are
I'm
so
good.
brown.
Oh, it's summer here, kind of.
Yeah. Summer all year round.
Almost.
Here it was snowing 2 days ago still.
Yes?
Yes. But okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much. So I'm so happy that Dr. Thiago Muller is here with us from Brazil. I think that it's going to be a super motivating hour, and I can't wait to ask you lots of questions. And I think that everyone is going to be asking you so many questions once they know what this is about. So the reason why I think that this is so important and so motivating is because Thiago has already done a PhD, and he has done also a master science in imaging, in veterinary imaging, and he owns and he's been developing a lot of teleradiology and also online teaching for many years. And he has a family too. And he's going to start his American residency in radiology this summer. So I think that is amazing. And I think that a lot of the people that follow us, they are vets that they want to keep learning and they want to keep moving. And so many people are asking us, what should we do? How we can continue to learn and to progress. And that's why I would like you to share your motivation and obviously your pathway. So my first question is why? Why are you doing now an American residency after all the experience that you have?
Well, first of all, thank you, Annie. It's an honor to be here with you because I admire your work a lot. So it's great to be here with you talking about something that I really enjoy, which is keep learning, right? Challenges. Well, I'm also, besides being a vet, I'm also a person. And I strongly believe that if you want to be successful as a professional, first of all, you have to be a great human being. So during this search for, get to know myself better, understand human beings a little bit better, I've been through a lot of process, therapies, coaching. And one of these processes, I learned that I'm driven by challenges. Challenges are one of my values. So I always want to put my finger on the light, and I always want to I always want to challenge myself. And I wasn't feeling any challenge in my work. That's why I quit my work. And for those who don't know, who are watching us, a lot of people in Brazil want to be a professor, want to be a person that works in universities because they have a lot of stability. It's a good payment that they receive, but I wasn't feeling any challenge at all right there because
because you've been a professor in university for many years.
Yeah, for 7 years. So I quit my job last year, and because I wasn't feeling it, and I put all my focus in Uniradiovet, the company, because we had a lot of challenges as being an entrepreneur or making your company bigger, so that's challenging. So I went full throttle with the company, and that made me feel more alive and made me feel want more to learn more. And that's how I got to know Dominique Penique, Mauricio Solano, They are the professor of diagnostic imaging in Tufts. And they, they opened my eyes and they were like, yeah, if you want more, why don't you go to do the residency? Because for me, it's the best training that a radiologist can receive, the residency in the US or Europe, get board certified, So that's another challenge that I'm going to face now, and I'm really happy about it. I know it's going to be, maybe it's going to be hard sometimes, exhausting some other times, but it's going to be 3 years that I will learn a lot and I will be challenged. So that makes me feel more alive and happy, And I bet you kind of feel the same way because you are board certified. So you went to get all this knowledge and, become better and be a better professional. So I bet you also think the same way.
Yeah, but it was a little bit different because I was younger. And I think that is, and I want to do another Insta-live with also how to get a diploma. But what I think that is very inspiring in you is that you're doing it after you already know a lot of things, because I know so many people are watching us that they are interested, in my case, in neurology, and they are going here and there, visiting the US, and they just like, and all these doubts. Is it worth to do the residency in the States? Is it worth to leave behind everything that we have built up to go to this new adventure? I mean, there's no answer for that. But I think that there is, I particularly like that motivation, despite being doing so much and achieving so much, that you still want to keep, pushing yourself.
Yes. I think the main reason is I felt like I was shrinking, here.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting access to MRIs or CTs. I was in a comfort zone. It was very comfortable there, but I wasn't growing.
Yeah.
And once you let your comfort zone, you get bigger, your comfort zone. Once you step out of it, your comfort zone gets bigger. So that's what I'm trying to do, because I really felt like I was shrinking. I wasn't learning anymore. So what should we do, right? We have to learn with people that are more experienced and all of that. So that's why I think this is going to be a great opportunity for me to become a better professional, become a better radiologist, and also
Marcela, oh, sorry, excuse me.
And also a human being. That's it.
So Marcela is asking, so if you needed to pass the exam to apply for the program, so do you mind explaining them a little bit how the matching program works and how, because another big question, and I did quite a few videos about that. A lot of questions is like, how do you get into the matching program if you want to apply for the States? I'm coming from Brazil. There's a big questions about, is your school, your red school, going to be validated by the Americans? And then how you go through the matching program, and how did you manage to get into that matching program so then you could apply for the residency?
Oh, yeah. That's a really great question, because in my case, there are not many schools that accept foreign students to do the residency. So I had to choose the matching options that would accept foreign students. But one thing that it was really helpful is that I went to a conference. It was in the ACVR 2019. I went to a conference. I got to know the schools. I got to talk to people, and they were like, oh, yes, we can accept foreigners. No, we don't accept foreigners. Well, if you'd like to go to our school to do a residency, you should visit. So it's a whole process that you have to do. It's not only applying for it. You have to show who you are, show your previous jobs, talk to people, get to know the team that you are looking to work with. So last year I went to Tufts.
And publish, Thiago, because you have published also a lot. Like, you haven't just like turn up and said, oh, I'm friends with everyone. Like, you have built up a huge CV for yourself before also you apply for that.
Yes, that's true. And the reason for that is because we have to do that as a professor. You have to, build research and publish great articles and all of that. But that wasn't my goal. I wasn't building my CV to apply for a residency. I was building my CV because that was my job, you know. And that helped a lot as well because I was in the area, you know, I had publications, so I'm not all new to the diagnostic imaging. So it's something that I love to do. So that counts a lot. People that you are applying for the matching program, they want to know what are your really objectives, you know. You have to be more, you know, have to love what you do and not only apply for a residency because you want to do residency. You have to, you know, have something to give also. So it's good to know the team that you are going to work with. And I got this opportunity last year when I went to Tufts to get to know them. And I really love the team because they have a good team in Tufts, right? For the diagnostic imaging. Well, you know.
Yeah. But I think that so I mean everyone can apply for the matching program. So anyone that comes from a university that it has, I don't know how you call, so kind of is recognized by the states, could apply through the matching program. There's no limitation. The problem is indeed for you to be ranked fine, you need to know where to go. And there are some universities that they will accept foreigners and pay a visa, and some universities that they may not. So it's true that if you have a big background and you've done a lot of things, and as Thiago said, like you can offer something to that team, you don't need to do an internship in the States. You can have, but you're going to need a little bit of a more background. If you are just finished your vet school and you want to get a residency in the States, coming from another country, that's not possible. But that is not possible. It was not possible for me. And I don't think that unfortunately is possible for anyone that is not an American. That's a reality. That's how it is. And we just need to, you know, be know that that's how it is. But we can definitely have a residency in the States if we want it. Like, it's just about how much you want it, what you can offer. And obviously, you're not going to be the first Brazilian doing a residency at Tufts, and he's not going to be the last or the first or the last foreigner. And there's a lot of people that they are doing it and just need a little bit more, I would say a little bit more effort than an American, but I think that is completely possible. And to be fair, also a lot of Americans, they need to move through the States, which is a huge country. I mean, there's people that they're going to leave their family in the north of the country and being in the south, which is like 8 hours plane. So it's not like they are super either. One question that Jen was asking, she was asking some recommendations about some radiology book. She's a 4th-year student, and LSU, which I'm sorry, but I don't know what LSU is. University.
LSU, I think, is Louisiana State University.
Could be Louisiana State University.
Yeah.
Apart from the THRAL, I would say the ultrasound from Dr. Penick that we will speak with soon.
Well, I'm gonna give you one that I love. I'm not. Where is it? Well, it's right here.
So Jenny's from Louisiana.
Yeah. Well, I missed, but every book here it is. I love this book. Ruth Dennis from Cambridge.
Oh yeah.
Such a nice book. But if you want to follow radiology and go through with it, you have to have every book, you know, because when you learn something, let's say, I don't know, hip dysplasia or intervertebral disc disease, every book brings kind of the same thing, a little different maybe, but in a different version or a different way of thinking. And if you get all the different ways of thinking, it makes you better, right? So you have to have every book that you can. That's the best way that I know.
Yeah, and I think that it's true that everyone for neurology, we see that. I have also a lot of people asking me, and depends a lot also how do you learn. We are all different learners, so some are more visual, some people they like more like thinking, and it's true that every different book has a different approach, and I completely agree. similar subjects, but then a little bit of a different approach. I have one question. Were you a good student in vet school?
Say what? I didn't hear
Were
you.
you
Sorry.
a good student at vet school?
I was a regular student. I wasn't bright, but I had good grades, no failing. So I was okay. I was okay. I used to party a lot.
I
I
think
like,
that I think like I don't think that we can generalize, but sometimes I was not particularly a good student in vet school. I just had too many things in my mind, too many things I wanted to do and try and all that. And I think that sometimes people, and I think that it would be good to encourage students that they maybe struggle a little bit with the university, because I mean, as a teacher, and I'm sure that you had the same experience, it's very difficult to teach all the students. We all are different learners, and it's very difficult to teach and to test because not all the students also know. I mean, some people, they are very good exam takers, and other people, they are not. So I think that it's important not to discourage any vets or any students that they don't feel that they are doing very well in vet school, because the most important thing is, if you want a challenge, if you want to keep challenge yourself. And I thought, for me, just thought that when actually, maybe because I wasn't such a good student, when I finished vet school, I was like, I don't know anything. Like, I thought I didn't know anything about nothing. So I was like, okay, let's try to be able to do one thing right, at least one thing. So then kind of focus a little bit into one subject and then building up like that.
yes, yes, I agree. As a professor, and you know that, we cannot judge our students at all, because maybe the brightest student, is going to develop much later. Like Albert Einstein, he wasn't a good student, but he's a bright mind. So we cannot judge the students. Maybe they are not very interested on our subject, but he's going to be great in other subjects, So professor, they have to have the ability, just to try to get them involved and teach them good things, not only medicine things, but how to be a great vet, how to be a great human. I like that. One of the things that I never learned in the vet school that I learned after I graduated is that the vet has to have compassion. And I never heard that word during my graduation.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm like, oh my God, that and you become a good vet, thinking with your heart, not only with your mind. It's not only knowledge that is important. There's one great quote that says, the doctor who only knows medicine knows nothing about medicine at all.
Yeah.
So we have to be great human beings. That's why I learned to love radiology, but I also love to learn about behavior, emotions. How can we become better?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that a lot of times I felt that I wasn't sure if I knew enough, if I was doing good enough, and then I've had a lot of positive feedbacks about people knowing, kind of feeling how motivated I was. And I didn't even know that my motivation or my willing to do something was going to other people. So I think that it's also very important that we praise each other and we recognize when someone is doing well and is motivated, and it's not about the knowledge, it's experience, and it just builds up. But it's, as you said, it's just need to have a good base, be a good person. That's the most important thing. And then obviously the knowledge, it just comes and develops.
Yes.
So there was one question about this vet student in Romania that wanted to ask if we should focus a little bit more, if they should focus more on like the theory in university or practicing in a vet clinic or a farm more. What would be your advice?
My advice is know yourself better, to really know what's your goal. Where do you want to get in 5 or 10 years? Then you will know if theory is going to be better. For instance, if you want to be a researcher, a PhD, maybe you have to focus more on the theory now. But if you want to be a good practitioner, to to make surgeries, you must start focusing on practicing, maybe. But you have to know what are your goals, and maybe focus on that. I have a good way of thinking, where do I want to go. So I think, where do I want to go 10 years from now? So I imagine myself there, and then I start going back from steps by steps. What did I have to do to get there? So the first thing you have to do, Toliko, is, I don't know if your name is like that, but you have to know, where do you want to get? Then you will know what part you should focus more. But if you are a vet student now, you should focus on graduating, with good grades and being a good student, and then you go from there.
Yeah, I find also, I remember when also when you start the career, and then I was a little bit, when you're doing the residency, the internship and everything, and then you see your friends that they are just going on trips and you're having fun and then you're just like, keep studying, and you feel a little bit kind of depressed about missing out. And I remember one of my sisters, that she's a PhD and she does a lot of research, and she was telling me, honey, you have the rest of your life to do that. And at that time, I mean, you need to be careful with that, because I think that the life, you need to enjoy it every single moment, of course. But it's true that the experience, it just comes with time. You cannot acquire experience in 1 year. So it's true that the learning, I mean, when you're in university, you are learning to learn. And you need to get all the resources you can, and all the tools you can, to know how to keep learning, how to keep studying. And the experience, it will come little by little as you do more things. And it's true that we all want that experience, but that it comes with time. And I think that the capacity that you have to study when you're a student is much better than years later. It's a little bit more difficult to sit on a chair and to study for 10 hours a day. Yes. When you are not in vet school. So I agree with you that you are a student now, that's your job. And then being a vet, when you graduate, you will be a vet, and you will get all that experience. It's not a rush. It will it will build up, which I think that is interesting.
I also think, Annie, a good way of thinking, and I tell this to my students, is, who is your model? Who is your veterinary model? Who do you admire the most? So go from there. What did that person had to do to get there? So follow those steps, because if you want to be like them, you should do what they done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I read somewhere, someone was motivating on Facebook or Instagram, saying, you need to do a lot of shit before you do what you like doing. And that's true. And you don't become a super comfortable and confident neurosurgeon without all the steps before. It takes time. Okay, so another question. Any tips for someone who is still in vet school and wants to do a residency in another country? So depends on the country.
Yeah. Well, there's no right way to get there. It's a process. So once I was applying for the residency, Mauricio Solano, the professor, told me, Thiago, well, it's a process. There are many people that are trying 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and it's a process. So if you really want that, you will get it, but you have to walk all the path. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not very easy, but if you're willing to do that, you will get it. But you have to get to know the team, get to know the people, get in the area as deep as you can. I think
exactly.
Those are the things that help,
And what you said about having the goal, which actually this links with the another question that says, so B is saying that she's at the beginning of this process, but she would like to go abroad and then have different experience if we thought that this is good. And I think that this is exactly what you need to do. And this is what I also did when I was a student. Just as a student, try to go to different countries, to different universities. And what Thiago says, if you know a little bit where you think that you would like to finish, if you do that kind of vision of the 10 years and you're like, actually, I think that I would like to do residency in the States. If you are from a country where you don't have visa problems, because we know that certain countries, unfortunately, they may not get a visa in the States. But if you know that, then yeah, then start trying to do a little week here and there into a university of the States. You get to know the people, and that's how you can then apply for the matching program. And the certain universities, they accept foreigners even for an internship. So you could even do an internship, but it's true that there is no at the tip of your finger. There is a lot of research that needs to go in, but I like a lot that idea of the 10 years and focus a little bit which way you would like to go, which I know that when you're a student, you don't always know exactly where do you want to go. But that week's experience into another country, I think that is super important for everything. Obviously, as a person and professionally, when the more you see other people working, the more ideas you get. I only get ideas from going to see other neurosurgeons working. I mean, of course, you read papers, but you have tips about surgeries. You have like different ways to do things. That is by going to see other people.
Yes, I agree totally. It's a whole process, and it's very competitive, right? I don't know how was your residency, but I think in the United States it's very competitive now. So I feel really lucky to get a spot, in Tufts, which I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it depends on the specialty also. Certain specialties, they are more competitive, but I think that, as you said, if you want it, you'll get it. Sometimes there is also a little bit of like being at the right place on the right time. So I did apply for a lot of residencies, but I was lucky that the place where I did my Erasmus, they opened a residency, and because it was in French and not a lot of people, I mean, obviously being a French residency, that there was a little bit less applicants. So I was lucky in that respect, but I applied for the States. I went to also visit the English universities, and I didn't get it into the London, Cambridge, or Glasgow, or the States, but I was able to get it in the university where I knew the team, as you said. I did my Erasmus there. I did a lot of like fellowship there, so they knew, and then I learned French to do the residency,
Awesome.
which I'm from Spain. Okay. So I recently become a vet, and I'm working both as a clinician and imaging diagnosis. Do you think I need to focus in one of these, or that's okay?
What do you think?
I mean, they go together, no?
Yes. Well, if you want to be a good radiologist, you have to be a good clinician, right? If you want to be a good clinician, you have to have the knowledge of radiology, or to have a good radiologist next to you, but they go both ways. I agree.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I'm not saying that everyone can describe an image, because it's not true, but there is one thing about description, and then there is a difference about the interpretation. And for the interpretation, you need your clinical history. When we do MRIs, we need to have top 3 differential diagnoses before we go and look at the MRI, because the description of the MRI, we all know that a contrast enhancing intraaxial lesion still could be a lot of things. So you need to match that with the clinical presentation and have your vitamin D. So definitely, I think that that goes so much together.
Yeah, I agree.
So I have another question, but go guys, ask us question. I just keep asking. Tell us also, how did you develop the idea of Uniradiovet? Because you've been doing this also for many years, and And I can see that is really motivating to see people learning and all the exchange. I find it very, very motivating.
Well, yeah, good question. I love to talk about it. When I was working at the university in 2011, I was receiving a lot of cases with diagnostic imaging exams like radiographs or ultrasounds, but there were no reports. Sometimes when the report came, the report was wrong, totally wrong, like saying that the femur was fractured, the right femur was fractured, but both femurs were fractured, you know, and was clearly. So I felt, okay, what can I do to help? Because this is a reality here in Brazil. It's changing, but it is a reality. A lot of people practicing diagnostic imaging, but not really doing diagnostic imaging, you know, just performing the exams. Of course, there are really good centers, but there is not the majority. So I was like, what can I do to help? How can I do this a little bit better for the population? So I was like, okay, how about I create a site for myself and I start doing reports for those who want reports. So we develop a platform, me and my brother and my wife, that we can receive all these exams. And now we have clients all over Brazil. We have approximately 70 clients all around Brazil, and other countries too, Ecuador and Paraguay. And now we have a group of radiologists, 5, 6 radiologists that work some full-time, just making reports for those who want. And no doubt that we may have changed a little bit the reality of, you know, some clinics or some hospitals that use our system and reports. So yeah, that's how the idea came up, and it got, you know, it grew fairly enough in the past 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and but then also you do some teaching too.
Yes, right now, Uniradio it's another problem solver. I was being called to give lectures all around Brazil, and that was really nice. I was really happy about it. You know, I wanted that, but I was getting with no weekends for my family, and I was getting crazy. So what my wife came up with an idea. She was like, okay, now we're gonna sell the courses. If people want to hear from you, they're gonna see that on the Uniradio channel. So I was like, okay, but still, it's still a lot of work because we are always producing a lot of content. We try to deliver as much value as we can and our capacity allows to our audience, but it's fun, it's challenging. A lot of people send questions to us.
We learn so much also teaching. It just puts you
Yes.
on your toes. Yeah.
Yes. So it's been fun so far. We have approximately 200 students already, and it's been a lot of fun. I think we have more because we have radiology, advanced radiology, basic radiology, and we just launched another course of avian radiology. So we might have more than 200. My wife takes care of the students. I build the classes.
So we have 2 questions. One that I'm really it's a cheeky one. Okay, so the first one, so that is very common in people from Brazil that they skip the residency in Brazil. So what do you think about? And I know that there is a lot of people in Latin America that they go to Brazil also to do a specialty and to publish in Brazilian newspapers because it's a little bit seems for them a little bit more accessible than to go to the States. But I think that is a very good question about balance.
Yes, it is a very good question, but it's not a simple answer because residency in Brazil is so heterogeneous. Because I can say because I was a resident supervisor for diagnostic imaging in my school, and in the United States, for you to open a residency, you have to have at least 2 professors, right? Here in Brazil, you don't have to have that. And the professor doesn't even have to be on the area of the interest. So it's kind of a mess. That's why some people don't do the residency, because sometimes the residency is not helpful. Sometimes it is. We have great residencies. That's true. But we gain a lot of universities. Just so you know, we have around 300 universities, 300 vet schools here in Brazil. So that's quite a lot. And as you know, quantity is not as the same as quality. So I had just recently graduated students that are now professor in some private schools, and I'm okay with that. But what kind of experience are they teaching, or are they just reading books, and copying all of the? So it's kind of a mess. I'm not really comfortable with this scenario. You know what I mean? But what can we do to help? That's why I'm also going to the US to get better knowledge, to impact and to bring knowledge to our students here in Brazil, to give lectures to them and to bring new things and to show how is the best way to do some things,
Yeah, I think that also, I think that it goes also back to what you said about where do you want to be in 5-10 years? Like, if you want to be a first opinion vet that are going to stay close to your family, build up a practice because that's what you want to do, then I think that probably acquiring some specialty in Brazil will be good enough to be a good first opinion vet. If ultimately what you want to do is being a diplomat of the American or the European college, don't waste time in your country. Just go to the United States as soon as you can, or go to England or whatever the country where you know that you're going to get a residency. But again, if you're going to be a first opinion vet, I'm sure that you can get very good training locally.
Yeah.
What do you want to do in 10 years?
And it's okay, right? It's okay for you
exactly.
to be
Exactly.
If you want to, it's okay, it's fine. I'm driven by challenges, so I always want to, so that's why I'm going for the residency. But I had no clue that I would do that when I graduated. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I want to become a professor. So what do I have to do here in Brazil? I have to do my master's and my PhD and pass the exam. That's what I have to do. So that's what I did. And then I accomplished that dream.
And exactly.
And I was like,
yeah, you were finding out what do you want to do. And that's the thing. If you know that you want to be an American resident, just go for it. If you don't know yet, then just discover it. Like, use the time. Yeah. So this question, this is a question that I was also asking myself. How are you going to balance Uniradio and your residency?
Well. I'm really lucky because Uniradio built a team. We have great radiologists doing the telerads. And I also have my wife that she's the CEO of Uniradio. So since I got the answer, yes, Thiago, you are the new residency at Tufts. I'm like, okay, now we get prepared so I can focus on the residency, Yeah. Of course that I would like to stay in touch with my radiologist. We might be able to do some rounds as we usually do. We get a Zoom meeting and we discuss some cases together. This is going to be great. It doesn't take much time and it's also good for my knowledge. So that's not going to be a real problem because that's already what I'm doing here in Neurology. I'm just working as a consultant for the telerad. I don't do many reports more. I only consult with my team. And my wife is taking care of the, I don't know how to say in English, but she's taking care of the team and the people who work in Uniradio. So I'm going to be a little bit off for the residency, but I'm also going to be present.
Yeah.
Not as present, but present.
Yeah, and I think that also, I mean, you're going to be doing so many teaching rounds for the residency that, I mean, the amount of material that you're going to have to present for teaching is going out of your ears every week.
Yes. So I've talked to this with my supervisors, the professors at Tufts, And they were like, yeah, if you want to do the residency, you don't have to have many distractions because you won't have time for that. So during this whole matching process, I was already, you know, making the house, making my home clear to be available for the residency. So it's a whole planning, it's a whole thing that is going on for a few months already. So it's going to be smooth, I hope.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you already have a huge capacity to work. So, and I think that also because you have so much experience, a lot of things are going to be a little bit easier for you because there's a lot of things that you already do a lot, so you can focus. And I actually had we had a friend that came to also, so she's doing her residency in France, and she came to do exchange at Tufts, and she also started her residency a little bit later on. So she already was working as a private practice and doing some imaging in France. And I was again very interested because she, like the vision, the way that you do the residency when you have some experience is very different than when you just finish your vet school. And she was taking obviously a lot of knowledge from it. I was kind of thinking, but do you still learn with so much that you know? And she's like, yeah, it's amazing. It's just like such a different perception. And then again, working with people, different people, that motivates you and open your eyes towards different directions.
Yes.
Do you think that, do you have a research idea or something?
Not yet. I'm thinking about it, but I would like to, you know, talk a little bit more with my supervisors because maybe they already have something in mind and I could work from that. But I'm willing and I'm open for everything.
I'm
happy,
very
you know.
excited. Yeah, I'm very excited. We're gonna have also this Insta-live next week with Dr. Pennick, which is going to be one of. So Dominique Pennick is going to be one of the Thiago supervisor, and she's an amazing professor, and she's been in university forever, and she has very, very good, amazing research ideas, and I think that it will be really good for people. I know that so many of us, we have these amazing ideas and we don't know how to follow them and how we can write a paper and how we can actually start a research or how can we develop these ideas that we have. And I think that it can be a little bit scary, and I think that she's gonna help us a lot to know how to focus and go one way or the other, which can be difficult.
Yeah.
So many papers out there, so many things we can do and we can test.
Yes. So I'm waiting for that. Actually, I had a conversation with Dominique yesterday, but we didn't discuss that yet. But so I'm curious to know what I'm gonna do. Yeah,
because for those that you don't know, when you're doing residency, you need to do a research project and you need to publish 1 or 2 or 3 papers depending on your specialty. But particularly at Tufts, you need to have a research idea, and you need to finish, and you need to present it by the end of your residency. And that I think that is really good. Sometimes we all kind of want to do these amazing prospective double-blinded studies, which in 3 years is impossible. So it seems that 3 years is a lot, but 3 years for research is nothing.
Yes.
So for those that you're doing research, keep going on, because 3 years, it just goes by like it is impossible. At least you are doing like, I don't know, simple case report, that to have published everything by the end of your residency, that's something that is a little bit tough. Okay, so another question. Do you have an internet site where everyone can learn radiology, neurology, or other specialty? I mean, videos, pictures, explain that best. So for neurology, there is, I recently had this page someone gave me. There is free access to videos from Dr. De La Junta. Let me just give you the name.
Cool.
So you can log in, and so it's called vetblom.com. I'm going to write it there. I So you have a lot of videos. Some of them they are paying, but some of the De La Junta they are for free. And otherwise, I don't think that there is a lot of like free pages. I think that, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know for biology.
we deliver a lot of content in the YouTube, but it's in Portuguese. I don't know if Dania is speaking Portuguese, but we have a lot of free content on our YouTube channel as well, but it's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
radiology.
Just keep following Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other question, as professors, what do you judge essential for a student who has the goal to do a master and then PhD in the US to prepare for a residency program in the US?
Well,
I mean,
I don't think you need to do that for a residency, right?
No.
Yeah. So if you want the residency, you should focus on that. Masters and PhD are a whole nother thing. Plus, there are a lot of residency programs, especially in radiology. There are also master's programs as well. I know Guelph is sort of like that. Colorado State, I think, too. A couple more that I don't know of, but in your residency, some schools also do the masters, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree with you that if you know that you want to do the residency, we said, don't just do that. What do you want to do in 5 years and focus towards that? If you don't know, because you have a PhD before and your PhD has helped you to get the residency, but you did the PhD because at that time, that's what you wanted to do. But I completely agree with you. If you want to do a residency, it's not wasting time because you never waste time doing a PhD, obviously.
Yeah,
but if you want to do the residency, go for it and then try to do different internships in places that they're going to kind of narrow towards the place where you want to do the residency. If what you want to do is more research, then PhD, definitely. But as you said, like a lot of places, they have PhD and residency because more and more universities in the States, they are struggling to keep clinicians in the vet school. So they are having these people staying a little bit longer. So they have a little bit more help for the research in university. There's more people doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know about residency in Europe. So about residency in Europe is a little bit more of a mess than in the US, because in the US, you have a lot of different colleges, but you have the matching program. So that is kind of a centralized program. With the Europe, you need to go and check every single university or practice that they're going to give a residency program. And you need to apply for every single different place that you may want to go. So it's not very well coordinated. So basically, if you, for example, want to do neurology, you go to the neurology college. So the College of Veterinary Neurology, the European College, and then they're going to tell you on the kind of announce, they're going to give you every year which residencies are up. And the problem also is they don't all start at the same date. In the States, every single internship, every single residency, everything starts exactly the same day of the year and finish the same year. So there is a little bit easier to do that, the application. In Europe, you just need to keep checking. And then the same, you need to do a general internship. And then if you have some experience in private practice, or if you have a specialty internship, then you may rank higher up. But at the end of the day, is what Thiago was saying. You need to connect with the team that you're going to work with.
Yeah.
If, for me, as a supervisor of residents, of course that we want someone that is going to be able to pass the exam, because you don't want someone that does a residency and then, because in the States, to be able to keep residents, you need your residency to be a diplomat. If your residents are not diplomats, there's something wrong with your residency. So that's the thing that you are under scrutiny every single year. How is your residency program? So you want someone that is able to sit the exam, but then you want someone that you can work with for the next 3 years. And we don't really care that much how much neurology you know. You're going to learn that during the residency. It's just how willing you are, what you can add to the team. So that is the most important thing. So I think that you just guys need to focus on what do you want to do, and then localize the places that will be suitable for you, and then go to meet them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a lot of people are very welcoming. It just, that's how I also met people when I was a student. I just send random emails to people and say, can I go to visit? And they say, yeah, sure.
Yes, yes.
Do
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Okay, say I'm a resident of vet surgery. How can I get a fellowship course in, so I guess in your country, do you mean the States, CIAMAC? So again, fellowship, it just like, there is no as a program as such. You will need to look at a university that you would like to go to, and then just contact the surgeons there. Like I have all the time people wanted to visit neurology, and I said, yeah, sure, these are the conditions for our department. Some other departments, for example, radiology, also they do that a lot at TAFs. Some departments, they even let people stay for a few months. So there is a lot of collaboration, and I know that TAFs wants to collaborate a lot with foreign countries, but it has to be also like an exchange. If, for example, you have a good idea of research, guys, you have a paper that you want to publish, you have a little idea, and you want to come to TAFs and, for example, use cases from TAFs or collaborate, that's what people like. We like exchange, we like collaboration, and that is at all levels, as a resident, as a visitor, as everything. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree totally. That's it.
Okay. Do you guys know how it works but in Australia? In one place that I've been trying to do some research, but it's hard to find some information. Yeah, I have a friend, ex colleague and resident colleague that he was a professor in Melbourne for a long time, but I don't know exactly how that works, because I know that the visa is a big problem, and I know that probably similar to the States, for example, I can work in university, but I cannot work in private practice because I'm a European diplomat. So sometimes your license as a normal vet is not possible in certain countries. And I think that Australia may be one of those, which it makes it a little bit tricky, because then you can only go if you have someone that pays you a visa. But I don't know anything more about.
Yeah. Me neither. I don't know as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I have one question. If you are Spanish and you would like doing a residency in the US, do you have to pass an exam? No, you don't need to have to pass an exam. It's true that I don't know. You may know that, Thiago, when you do it, the matching program, did you need to prove anything about your English? Do you need to show any? No.
No, I didn't have to do that. I just sent my CV. You have to send your graduation history, your school history. But there are some schools that don't go through the match. There are some residencies that don't go through the match. And they select their residents based on, maybe their CVs or their previous visits to the school. So, but you don't have to do an exam. The exam that you have to do is during your residency to get the board certified. Yeah. That's the hard part, I think.
Yeah, very hard. But to apply, you don't have to. I don't know if certain universities, they may want you to prove that you have a good English, something like that. But
actually, yeah. I think in Europe, there are some schools. I had a friend, Mauricio from Italy. He told me that he had to do the TOEFL exam to get accepted in his residency. So I think it depends on the country that you are in and the program that you are applying for. But in the US, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, if you guys can do that exam for the English, that would be helpful. But there's no exam before the residencies at the end. The gray cloud.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much, guys, for being there too, and for all these questions. And we see you soon for other subject. Okay. So now the last comment. There is one veteran. Okay, so someone is giving advice about a vet that was from Australia, so then maybe can give some help for the experience there. Okay, thank you so much. See you soon. See you soon here, Thiago, and good luck.
Thank you, Annie. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Yes, yes.
I was going to enter with Uniradio, our Uniradio Instagram, but when I saw you started, I clicked and it went to my Dr. Thiago Muller Instagram. So I did a mess. Sorry. I supposed to enter with the Uniradio one.
It doesn't matter. Okay, guys, have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.